Hello and welcome to Wednesday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic and a puzzle that has been recommended to the nines. It's called Copycat Collaboration and it's described as being by Scojo and Chat because I believe it was set on a stream somewhere. But apparently the people who contributed to its creation were, well, as well as Scojo, included Flinty, Juggler, Palpot, ratfinkz and GDC. Now that is quite a collection of IQs right there. And we even had an email from another setter, Heliopolis, who said this is the most fun they've had solving this year. It's got a 100% approval rating on Logic Masters Germany. What looks like a tentative 3 stars out of 5 for difficulty, although it hasn't achieved a rating yet. But this is what I'm going to be having a look at in today's puzzle, and it's called in today's video. It's called Copycat Collaboration because it involves a concept called a copycat cell, and I don't think I've seen a copycat cell before. I may be misremembering, but I think the essential quality of a copycat cell, from a quick read of the rules, is imagine this square was a copycat cell. You have to look at its sort of rotationally symmetrical counterpart, which would be here. So imagine the grid twisted around 180 degrees around its centre. We'd get to this square, wouldn't it? And whatever's in that square is sort of, you treat this square, let's make that square 6. You treat this square as being a 6, no matter what actual digit is in this square. So if this square was a 1, it doesn't mean it's a 1 for the purposes of the rules. It means it's a 6. Yes, that is completely and utterly baffling. Anyway, I'll read the rules properly in a moment or two's time, but I'm looking forward to trying this one. What else can I tell you about? We have, over on Patreon, a brand new competition. Paws is Sudoku Hunt. Hundreds and hundreds of you have been writing in to say that you've been so pleased that you've been able to complete one of our Sudoku hunts. So very well done to all those of you who've done it, especially those of you for whom this was your first either your first foray into the world of Sudoku hunts or the first time you've actually managed to complete one, having tried before. That's exactly what we were hoping for. July is meant to be a bit of a holiday month, I think, for some of us. Although we never take holidays on Cracking the Cryptic, of course, or not at least since the start of the first pandemic. But yeah, so check that out. It's a lot of fun. Thank you for Paws for creating it. Thank you to Paws for creating it. The other thing we've got on Patreon is my video solves of last month's monthly reward, which was, of course, the Lord of the Rings Sudoku hunt from Blobs. So there are 10 new videos over there for anybody who's a $3 patron and above. Anybody who's a patron, thank you. Perhaps we don't say thank you enough, but you keep the channel going. So I will say it again. Thank you so much for your support. Now, birthdays. Let's do some birthdays. Jeff, I'm going to start off by wishing you a belated birthday. I'm afraid I don't know how long your birthday or these birthday wishes are belated by, but I do know that your girlfriend Libby wrote to us on Instagram, of all things, to tell us that you watch every day and you'd appreciate a shout out. So Jeff, many happy returns. Thank you for watching the channel. Next, Michelle, you've turned 18 today, and I know this because your friend Maria wrote to us. Apparently we're your favourite YouTubers, which is, well, that seems somewhat surprising to me, but I'm delighted. And you've even persuaded Maria to start watching, so thank you for spreading the word, Michelle, and I hope you have a brilliant birthday today with, of course, lots of chocolate cake. And then finally, it is Sir Lunch's 59th birthday today, over there in Burlington, Canada, if I remember correctly. And Sir Lunch, well, I mean, not only is it your birthday today, I understand you're going in for your 3rd back surgery tomorrow. I do hope that goes well, and I hope you're able to have a proper celebration before the op tomorrow. And there we go. That's all the messages. Now I will. I've got my tongue and my teeth mixed up today. Now I will read you the rules of Copyright Collaboration by Scojo and Chat. They are as follows. Normal Sudoku rules apply. So we have to put the digits 1 to 9 once each in every row, every column, and every 3x3 box. Place 9 copycat cells into the grid so that there is exactly one copycat cell in each row, column and 3x3 box. Each copycat cell must contain a different digit. The value of a copycat cell is the digit in the cell rotationally opposite itself in the grid. Brackets 180-degree rotation about the centre of the grid. So that's what I was explaining at the start of the video. There's an example. For example, if row 2, column 3 is a copycat cell containing the digit 5, okay, so let's make it a copycat cell, and row 8, column 7 contains the digit 9, row 8, column 7 contains the digit 9, the value of row 2, column 3 is the digit in row 8, column 7, which is 9. Okay, so yes, that makes sense, because if we do spin the grid 180 degrees about its centre, this square here would end up on this square here, wouldn't it? So we have to transplant, if you like, the value of 9 into this square. Oh, I'm getting buzzed by a fly. It's not enough that most videos involve being buzzed by a maverick. Today I'm being buzzed by a fly. Anyway, that's part of the rules. Then we've got zippers. Values an equal distance from the centre of a lavender line sum to the value in the centre of the line, which is marked with a small circle. So let's look at this square. What that means is that let's ignore copycat cells for a moment because that's going to confuse me. But this digit is the centre of this G. This middle of this G is the centre of the zipper line. You can see that is marked with this. So values an equal distance from the centre of this line have to sum to the digit in the centre. So if there was no jiggery pokery going on, those two squares would add up to green. These two squares would add up to green. These two squares would add up to green, and those two squares would add up to green. And we could create a lot of chromatic nonsense in the grid. So that's how zipper lines work. Odd lots. A value in a yellow circle, of which there are 6, I see. Can I double click them? No, apparently not. No. A value in a yellow circle counts the number of odd values on the attached line. Okay. So I can sort of see how that works. The thing that I'm laughing about is that is the use of value. The use of value in this rule set is extensive, isn't it? So whatever the value is here, a value. So that could even be a nonsense, couldn't it? Or whatever they're called, a copycat cell. And it would have the value of this square, and that value would count the number of odd values on the line, which presumably would include itself. So if that became an odd number, I mean, it's absolutely baffling. I don't know what's going on. And I've been buzzed by a fly, and I am now being buzzed by a maverick. Good grief. Anyway, do have a go. The way to play is to click the link under the video as usual. But now, I get to play. Let's get cracking. I mean, and I've got to tell you, I mean, this is such it's immediate nonsense here. Because there's something going on that's very strange. And the reason I say that is I know very little about zipper lines, but one thing I do know is when zipper lines normally occupy an entire box of the Sudoku, you can think it's a bit like thermometers and things. Where does the 9 go? Now, my first reaction here is that the 9 has to go in the sort of middle cell, because if I put 9 anywhere else, this cell would need to be greater than 9. But in this puzzle, that doesn't work, does it? Because if you did put 9 here, 9 could get well, it could be whatever it's called, copycatted. Hang on. Okay, I'm going to come back to that because I've just noticed something about that. Let's do it down here. Yeah, if this was a 9, then yeah, this could be copycatted, and then it would take the value of this, which could make it any value, including very low values, and then it might work. But what I've just noticed, as was it this square I was looking at, is that if that did get copycatted, where does it? What is the rotationally symmetric equivalent of this square? In fact, let's just ask that question. Yeah, I think we can actually do normal stuff in this box. I think this might be where we have to start, because if I take any square in this box and ask where its rotationally symmetrical counterpart is, well, it's in this box, isn't it? The rotationally symmetrical equivalent of this is there. This is there. This is here, etc. That is right in the middle. And so what that means is that I can't transplant the 9. What does it? Hang on. Well, what does it mean? So I could transplant the 9 actually. But if I did transplant the 9... Oh, this is the... Actually, I've already confused myself now. What I was thinking was... Because it doesn't swap the digits, does it, this rule? It literally transplants the equivalent value in. So how to think about this in a way that's reasonably logical? How do we do that? So if that's a 9, it can't be a 9. That's very clear. It cannot have the value of 9, because then this would have a value that's more than 9 once we added it to those two squares. So this would need to be transplanted. So if we put 9 on the zipper anywhere, we have to transplant it, and that's going to transplant it to this value. So if it was this one where the 9 lived, let's use that colour, then actually the value of this would be this, which would imply that this must be an even value, because it would sum up the actual value, the two values being summed there are 2 blues, because this one takes the value of that one, and that one doesn't change its value because there can't be 2 copycat cells in a box. So yeah, I mean, it doesn't work, does it? Because then we could ask, okay, well, where does 8 go in the box? And 8 clearly can't go in any other cell, because then this would be at least equal to 9, or it can't be equal to 9 because 9's on the thing. So this would have to be equal to 8. But now I feel like there's a problem. Oh no, there isn't a problem. Could I make that 4? Hang on, this is absolutely bizarre, isn't it? Yeah, so maybe that does work then. Because then this one... Oh, hang on. No, I've got this wrong. Sorry, it's not this one that needs to be 4. Oh, no, this is really confusing me, because now I'm getting confused between the zipper equivalent and the copycat equivalent. Sorry, I need to think this through again. I think I better think it out again. I'm reviewing the situation. So, if this is 9, it must be copycatted, which means we're taking this cell's value and transplanting it here. And as Maverick buzzes by again, this would have to be 8, because I can't put 8 on the line anymore, because I can't make this higher than 8. But now I think I have got a problem, because the only way this can... Now we have to think about how we deal with 4 on this line. Because the only way you could deal with 4 on the line is by having it opposite another 4. And the only way I can create 2 4s in box 5 is using the power of the Copycat Cell. But the Copycat Cell is never going to be... Well, actually, no. Am I wrong again? I might be wrong again. What if that was the 9 and that was the 4? Because now the copycat equivalent of this is this. And they are in the right place on the zipper, if you see what I mean. They are 2 cells away from the middle, so this might be right, actually. This is absolutely bizarre. And now I've got to put 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. So I'd have a 2, 6 pair, a 1, 7 pair, and a 3, 5 pair. Good grief. Okay, so that is not where we start. Well, it might be where we start, but if it is, I've not understood it. This is mad. Okay. Okay, so maybe it's something to do then with... I've got two thingamajigs, or whatever they're called, two mid zippers in the same column there. Now, so obviously I say obviously, is anything obvious? In these boxes, I'm transplanting in, because one of these cells is my green copycat cell, it's transplanting a digit from over here. And this box is transplanting a digit from over here. So I don't have the same sort of considerations I did in box 5. Now, so if I had a 9 in one of those squares, that's absolutely fine, isn't it? Well, is it? Because then I'd have to put the digits 1 to 8 on in the sort of remaining squares. And all of those would pair off with each other very naturally to add up to 9, assuming 9 isn't copycatted. But then there would be, but one digit would be left, one digit would have to have a copycat value. So, but I see, but I could transplant in itself. Oh, goodness me. So imagine you did this. So say this was a 9. Then 1 and 8 obviously have to be, let's assume 1 and 8 aren't copycatted. They could be like that, couldn't they? And then 2 and 7 could be like that, for example. 3 and 6. But eventually one of the digits is going to be copycatted. So say this was 3, 6, this was 3, 6, but we said that one was copycatted. And this was 4, 5. So everything's working here. Except that this one wants to have the value of whatever, let's make that 3. This one has to have the value of 6 now for the purposes of this. But it is actually a 6. So that means... see, that wouldn't work in that... It doesn't work in that position, but it might work in other positions. So I've managed to pick a position there that doesn't work because it's... Yeah, but look at that. If I did it the other way round, if that was the copycat digit, then it's the same as that digit. So that could be 6. And that could be 6, and that could be 3, and that would work then, because the 6s wouldn't be in the same row, which they would have been if it had been these two digits, which were borrowing from each other's values. Good grief. Right, so that's fine. That's fine. So actually, we can absolutely put 9 in. We can put an uncopycatted 9 in the bulb. But if... Oh, sorry, Maverick's about to dive past again. Right, so we've got to put an uncopycatted... Well, no. No, we could put... These can't both be 9, though, can they? Obviously. I know that sounds obvious, but in this puzzle, nothing is as obvious as it first appears. So 9 can't go in both those positions by Sudoku knowledge bomb. So one of these is not a 9, or maybe more than one of them is not a 9. Although I suspect one of them has to be a 9. Because if they're not 9, don't they have to be 8? Or maybe they could... No, they can't both be copycatted. Oh, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, how does this work? Is it possible these are both not 9, is what I'm wondering. I'm going to claim that no is the answer to that question. Let me explain. Let's say that this was 8 and 7 or something like that. Well, the implication, I think, of that is that 9 exists on this zipper in somewhere where it must be copycatted out, mustn't it? And 9 exists on this zipper in a position where it must be copycatted out. Because we can't have... We just cannot put 9 on a zipper anywhere but in the centre and it retain its value. But we're only allowed to copycat 9 once, I think. Let me just double check that rule. Each copycat cell must contain... Yes, each copycat cell must contain a different digit. So I can't put 9 in a copycat cell twice. So I'm going to now claim that I can... Yeah, so in all of these zippers then, all of these zippers that completely subsume a 3x3 box, I can only put one 9. I can only put one 9 on a zipper. Because the moment I put 9 on the zipper, I have to switch it out, don't I? There is no... That is true. I mean, I'm finding this rule set very hard to grasp, but I think that must be right. If 9 exists and has its real value, then the circle would have to have a value of at least 10, and I can't create that in this puzzle, even with the nonsenses. So that means one of these only has a 9 on its zipper. Which means... But these two digits... But anywhere that 9 is not on the zipper line and is in the centre of the line... Yeah, so on 3 of these zippers it's in the centre of the line. But these two are in the same column, so one of these is a 9 and the other one can't be. And the one that can't... So one of these is a 9 is what I'm now claiming. One of these is a 9 and one of these is a... What colour are we going to have the zipper? Green, maybe. One of these is 9, one of these is a green... It is a... Well, actually, does it have to be? It must... Now I'm wondering whether it even has to be. That might not be true. I think one of these is a 9 is true, because they can't both not be 9s. So one of these is 9. And that, but then the 9 is getting transplanted off. Whichever one of these is not 9, the 9 is getting transplanted off that zipper by the copycatting. And that means that the 9 in these two boxes must be in those positions, because otherwise it's got to be transplanted off its zipper again. And now this 9 sees that 9, so that's not 9, that's 9. I've still got to think about this. I'm unsure about... Well, no, I am... Ah, no, of course. Right. Right, so actually now, in this box here, 9 is in one of these squares, and we know it's transplanted off. So actually that digit is not copycatted. I was thinking maybe it had to be copycatted in as a 9, but it doesn't. It can't be, in fact. Because there's a 9 on the zipper that must be transplanted for... where are the equivalents of these squares? The equivalents of these squares are... let me get this right. Is those, isn't it? So something here is transplanted in here. But now, yeah, let's keep thinking about this one. Because what we're now learning is that on this one, where are we putting 8? Well, if we put 8 in any normal position other than the centre of the zipper, that zipper value needs to have a value of 9, which it clearly cannot have, because it can't be copycatted in 9, because the copycat's up here, and it can't be 9 itself by Sudoku, so that is an 8. Now I'm wondering about the 4 from what we were thinking about earlier. So the 4 now in this box has to be... That is a real 8 with real... Yeah, okay, what we should do now is actually have a colour that says something is a real thing. Thing about the purple lines is that... Oh, that was a funny... the thing about the purple lines is that every colour you put against them doesn't really like... That's probably not bad, is it? Grey, I can see that. So grey is going to mean real. These are all real. Well, is that true? Yes, it is true. It is true, because there is only one chance in this puzzle to copycat a 9 and transplant a 9 for something else, and that's here. So these are all definitely actually 9s. Yeah, okay. And then let's think about 8 in this box, because what are we saying there? We're saying that somewhere in this cacophony of digits there is a 4. And the only way that 4 can add up to 8 on a zipper is if it is partnered with another 4. So what that's telling us is that the 9 that is being transplanted off the line and being exchanged is being exchanged for a 4. So there is a 4 in one of those squares. Now, no, that's not going to work, I don't think. So if it was that one, it would be that one. I was hoping that there might be some way we could actually do something with that, but I don't think there is. Because I have to put the 4 on the line, so if that's the 9, the 4 goes here, but that's the equivalent, so I don't get 2 4s in the same row. If that's the 9, the equivalent is that's a real 4, and that's the equivalent. It's really confusing, this. It's really confusing. Right. So do we know... I want to come back and think about this box, because that's the box that I started with. And I thought that I understood this box, because this... Hang on. Yeah, well now we've got an issue in this box. Ah, okay. Right, so now let's think about how this box works, because in this box something is getting transplanted for something else that's in the box, unless... Yeah, 9 is an odd number. So Does that matter? No, it doesn't. It doesn't matter. I was thinking I could do it that way, but I can't. The point is that these digits are, they all have a natural partner. So these are the digits 1 to 8. I mean, if I was Mark, I would do this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's true, isn't it? So if this was a 1, that would have to have a value of 8. But because all the different values appear in this box, we can't just substitute, you know, this 1 for any other digit. What we have to do is preserve the values of the digits here. And we can do that by making this square, the central square, which has no rotational equivalent. We rotate the grid, we still end up on the central square. So this can just keep its value, whichever of the digits 1 to 8 this is, and it will pair up naturally with this digit. And nothing will change. If we were to pick any other cell, we're going to, once we take the rotational counterpart, we're going to pick up a different value for this cell. And that cell is going to need 2 equivalents on the line, if you see what I mean. So it would, and it can't have it because all of these digits are actually different. So what we're actually learning now is that this, I don't know what this value is, but these are now not, they're not 9, because we know that 9 is the naughty digit in box thingy. So now, if 9 is in one of those two, the 4 that we're transplanting onto this line has to be in the rotationally symmetrical positions, which is one of these two squares. These digits are now all grey. These digits are now all grey. Look at this. These digits are all grey just by Sudoku on the naughty digit. So one of these is naughty, and one of those two is 4. And I don't know whether we can. I don't know whether the. Oh no! If the 4 was naughty, because the 9 is picking up the 4 that's naughty, the 4 and the 9 would sort of oscillate. The 9 would pick up the 4 and the 4 would pick up the 9, which probably couldn't happen if that was the 4. Wow, okay. So, what do we do with this knowledge? Well, okay, here is another point then. Because one of these two squares has a value of 4 being pinched from over here, that square might be a 4. Or that square might be a 4. Because the opposite, you know, the digits that's the same distance away from the 8 on the zipper has to be. So if one of those is a 4, that's sort of in the penultimate position. That should be a 4. So 4 is in one of those squares on this line. And 4 by Sudoku. And 4 needs to be opposite of 5, but. Okay, so I'm going to put 5s in there. If that's a 5, that's fine, isn't it? That can be, yeah. In fact, whatever that digit is, we can just ignore it in effect, because it could be any of the digits 1 to 8, but it just keeps its value once it gets exchanged for its copycat, which is itself. This puzzle almost seems designed to put me in sort of linguistic quandary. But the fact that we got the problem here, yeah, okay, so whatever the naughty digit is in this panoply of digits, it's going to steal itself from one of these digits, isn't it? And the same is true here. The digit that's being stolen from the other side of the grid, if it was one of those and it was stealing one of these, say it was a 4 here, it would steal a 4. Because otherwise we're not going to create the right combinations along the zipper to add up to the 9. No, because I was suddenly thinking, surely that can't be a 9 because of that funny rule about the odd digits. But if it's borrowed, if it's borrowing a value, if that's a 9, then it doesn't have the value of 9. It has the value of 4. And a value in a yellow circle counts the number of odd values on the attached line. Well, well, okay, is this right? I'm going to allege that there are no 9s. There are no values of 9 in box 4. It does not exist as a value. And therefore I want to say, and this might be wrong, but I want to say that the value of this square, which counts the number of odd values on this line, that ought to be a 4. Because there are 5 odd digits in Sudoku, 1, 3, 5, 7 and 9, but 9 does not exist as a value. I mean, it exists in the fact it's in the box, but its value we know is being substituted for a 4. So there are no 9 values in that box. So there are only the values 1, 3, 5 and 7, which means that should have the value of 4, which means it is the 9. I'm going to allege that is the 9. I don't see how that's wrong. And therefore that's a 4. And now that is opposite. I don't know if I wanted that or not, but I think it's true. This now is the naughty digit. That's not naughty. All of these become not naughty. That one we don't know whether it's naughty, but we do know it's being transplanted. Now, this is so silly because this one is counting how many of these digits have a value that is odd. But that might have a value that's odd. If that was itself green, it wouldn't be a 4, would it? It would be a 9 and change its parity. But that can't be a 3. By parity, that can't be a 3. Because if it was a 3 and we're saying every digit on that line has a value that's odd, it can't add up to, well, the maths won't work. You get 2 odd numbers adding up to supposedly an odd number, but we do know that even in mad Scojo and chat world, we do know that 2 odd numbers do add up to an even number. So that digit here is a 1. Well, no, I was going to say it's a 1 or a 2, but it's not, is it? Because, well, its value is 1 or 2. But it might have acquired that value by pinching that value. So 2 would certainly work. 2 odd numbers, because although no, well, no, yeah, 2 does work. 2 would work. 1 probably works. 1 odd number, which would be itself. No, actually. Okay. That can't be a 1. And it can't, when I say it can't be a 1, what I mean is it can't have the value of 1. Because if it had the value of 1, it would be the only odd digit on this sequence. And that means these 2 would have values that were even. But then we'd be saying that an even number plus an even value plus an odd value was equal to an even value, which is not true. So the value of this square has to be 2, although I don't know The value of this is 2. The value... Well, that's lovely. That's done it. That's done it. Because even if this is a naughty old digit and it's stealing the value of this, if its value is 2, it is even. Its value is even. But there are 2 odd numbers, 2 odd values on this, and they can't include this. Even if this was I don't know, a 5. The point is that its value is 2, so it should be stealing a 2 from there then. So its value is 2, which means these 2 have values that are odd, which means that that cannot be a 4, is what I'm saying. That cannot have the value of 4, because 4 is even. So that is a jolly old naughty digit, and these squares are grey, and these squares are all grey, and that one is pinching the value of 9. Oh, that's a bit disappointing. But that has the value of 2, so that has to be a 7. Oh, in fact, no, this is better than that. That is all true. But now this has been proved, because it's in the column with a naughty old digit. It's not naughty old. It's not a naughty old digit. So that is just a plain old 2, and that is a 7. Who on earth said that this was 3 stars out of 5 for difficulty? I mean, it might be, but it's so easy to make a mistake with this. It is, and I hope I haven't, but I'm not certain I haven't. I think it would be incredibly easy to make a mistake. Now, what do we do with this then? So, I think probably we might want to give some attention to these other odd things. I must know what that one is. I'm not sure actually. What's this one counting? It's counting odd values on its line, but each pair of values, we're adding up to an odd number. So there must be each pair. There are 4 pairs adding up to 9 on this line. Each pair must contain an odd value and exactly 1 odd value. So why isn't that just a 5? Oh, well, it probably is a 5, but it might not be a 5. Because I think its value is 5. But the 5 could be stolen from here if this is the green, if this is a green digit. Well, but yeah, but sorry, that is the most inarticulate exclamation. No. Okay, well, yes. No and yes. Hang on. No. Right. Even if this is green, what value is it stealing from here? And the answer is 5, isn't it? Because we've put 9 here, and because these are the digits 1 through 8, wherever the naughty digit is, it must take its own value or it will break the box. Because its pair on the line is taking its real value, and therefore it must retain its own value. So this could well be a naughty digit, but if it is a naughty digit, it's replacing and it's taking this value. That doesn't matter because it's still replacing, because it's still got to be actually a 5. So if this is green, all we're saying is this is 5, but I'm saying this is 5. And that means these are not 5, and I get 5 in the middle box in the middle. And that is its own value, so that's 4. Because 4 plus 5 equals 9. There's a 5 up here, lending credence to the possibility that this is green. Well, and if that... Oh, well, no, hang on. That is a real digit. And it is opposite something that has the value and is a 5, so that is a 4. Because a 4 and 5 add up to 9 again. And now there is a 4 up here as well. I can well imagine the delight on these constructors' faces as they decided that they would torture solvers. Now, what does that mean? No, nothing. Don't know. So this box, oh, see, it's 172635, isn't it? That's what we've got going on there. Nine is... Can 9... No, 9 has been exchanged. So if we were to put 9 in either of these positions, it would be on a zipper, but not in the center of the zipper. It would have a value of 9, therefore, because it couldn't be transplanted off. And the zipper middle would have a value of at least 10, which is impossible. So that is a 9. And that I'm going to run that argument exactly the same way again. That I'm going to claim cannot be a 9 for the same reason. So that's a 9. 9 is in one of 3 places in box 3. 9 is... I see. Same thing again. I can't have a real 9 on a line. So that's a 9. That's not a 9. Sorry, I could have probably done all this before, couldn't I? Oh, no. All right, that's annoying. That could be a 9 because it's in the middle of a zipper. If it was a 9, what's that number? That number is, well, it's 1, 2, or 3 because it's counting. No, it's the same as that one. If that's a 3, that doesn't work because then we're saying there are 3 odd values on this line, and we know 3 odd values don't work because if these are both odd, that ought to be even. So is it totally the same? If that's a 1, it's the only, yeah, it doesn't work. If that's a 1, it's the only odd number on its line. So these have 2 even values, but even plus odd does not equal even. So that is a 2. That's so annoying. I don't think that does very much. 2 in the box down here is in one of 3 positions, but they all include possible, although they map to themselves, wouldn't they? So they would have 7s opposite them. That could be a 7. That could be a 7. And that, oh look at they just go all over the place. Wow, I mean, where? It might be that line. Although I don't relish the thought of investigating it. It's more likely, I think, to be... I actually don't know. I don't have a good sense for where to look in this puzzle. Or in this type of puzzle either. I've been cast adrift by these copycat rules. So these digits are pinching digits from over here, but they're pinching their own digit. You see, I've got a horrible feeling that there's something completely obvious that I'm meant to look at here. Is it something to do with this circle? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In theory, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, it's... How could it be 5 odd values? It cannot be 5 odd values. Because, again, we're going to run into the problem that we're then, you know, we're summing 2 odd values to get an odd value. So this is 1, 2, or 3. If it's 1, it's the only... 1 doesn't work. Because if it's 1, it's the only odd value on its zipper. And then we're going to be adding that to an even value here to supposedly come up to an even value. But odd plus even is odd, obviously. So that's not 1. If it's 2, then 2 odd values. Yeah, see, that I think might work. If it was 2 odd values and you put them there and there, they would add up to even, and all 3 of those could be even, because these could be even and add up to even. So 2 might work, 3 might not work. Let's think about 3. So if this was 3 odd values, one of which is this one. No. Ooh. No. You can distribute the odd values then in one of each pair and the middle, and it would work. Bobbins is what we're looking for there. That is bobbins. Right. So it's going to be, maybe it's that one then. How long is this zipper? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The Maverick, you're getting lower and lower. That is a 7 length zipper. Now, but we don't know anything about this, do we? But we do know that if this is an odd number, then each pair of digits along the zipper is going to need to have exactly 1 odd number. So I'm talking when I'm using numbers, I mean values. So, and because that's what this is counting. So if this is odd, then there are 3 pairs. So 1, 2, 3 odd numbers from 1 from each pair, and that's odd. So that would be a 4. If this is odd, that is 4. That is just forced, I think. But this is where it's going to get difficult. If that is even, then there are an even number of odd digits. Because the only way, if this is even, you could sum 2 odd numbers to an even number, but you can't. They would need to be both odd, wouldn't they? So this would be 4 or 6. 6 feels very difficult. Could we really make that 6? Because if that's 6, it is itself. No, that doesn't work. Okay, no, 6 is very easy to rule out. If that's 6, the entire rest of the line is odd, but the 6 will add to that digit, which is odd. Oh no, that does work. No, but okay, that does work, but if the whole of the rest of the line is odd, then we're going to have 2 odd numbers there and there, for example, adding up to supposedly an odd number, but it wouldn't be correct. So that doesn't work. So this is 4, but it's 4, but you don't. Oh, that's not 4, but you don't know what this digit is, because when I say digit, no, we don't. I don't even know the parity of it. I do not know the parity of it, because it could be odd or even. 4 worked with both. But what about Sudoku there? That's a 4. I'm just pausing because I'm not sure I trust what I think that means. I think that means this is a 5. But it doesn't say anything about whether or not it's any of... Well, no, actually. No, hang on. Right. 4 and 5 have already been transplanted. So they're actually natural digits as well. That seems to have to be 2 and 7. Now, I'm going to check that, though. I don't really trust that. It's true, though. 2 is in that position. But don't forget, if it's green, it's taking that digit, which would have to be a 2. And that won't work. For different reasons, that would break the zipper. But the point is that I can play mathematical addition in this box, because even if I'm transplanting digits in, I'm transplanting the same digit in. So these digits are either 1s and 8s or 3s and 6s, although I'm noticing now I have not put any 1, any 3, any 6 or any 8 in this box. Oh, no, in this puzzle at all. I have not managed to place one large digit of those forms. Okay. Oh, bother. That's actually I'm a bit sad about that. Well, 2. Okay, let's try 2 in this box, because 2 in this box is locked into one of 2 positions. Now in this box, we're adding up to 8 though, so we have to be a bit careful. So one of these is a 6. 7 in box thingy, box 4, is in one of 3 positions, and we know it must be opposite a 1, so there is a 1 in one of those. 5. Right, that's actually really useful. 5 is in one of the corners of this box, but those corners are the same distance from the 8. So whichever one of these is a 5, and one of them is a 5, must have a 3 opposite it, so we can just delete these and replace this as a 3-5 pair. Right, that seems to suggest 6 is here. Why? Yes. Oh, no, this is it. Look, 2 now in this box has to go there. So that's 2. That's 6. That's 1. That's 7. That is absolutely bizarre. So this is... we don't know. Oh, alright, where's 5 in row 6? That's a good question. It's got to be here. That's 5. That's 3. That's still 3, 6 or 8. I'll check these out in a minute. Let me just see if I can do any more Sudoku. That's not 6. 3, 6, 8. There's definitely a 1 in... Right, there's definitely a 1 in one of these 2 squares, and that must be opposite an 8. So there is definitely an 8 in one of these 2 squares. That feels right, doesn't it? Is there any way that could be wrong? I don't think so. Now. Now where do we look? I haven't got a clue. Ooh, what about those digits then? They're 1, 2 and 3, aren't they? So one of these is a 1. And 1 must be opposite 8. So 8. Hang on, if one of those is an 8, neither of these is an 8. Sorry, that doesn't seem to do it, does it? But if 8 is here, 8 is in one of those, and therefore 1 here is in one of these. Oh, it doesn't do it. Look, I thought that might... Oh, 1's not there because of this. So if 1's not here, that one is not 8. So 8 is now vertical. Oh, it doesn't work again. Oh, I'm being unlucky here. My Sudoku's being unlucky, I'm going to claim. Okay. Okay, so now, what do we do? We shall say that... I don't know. I don't know where to look. 7 in the middle box is in one of 2 places. So the 2 is either there or there. So 2 is vertical. in box 5. That's not able to be 2 anymore. So that is 1 or 3, and its counterpart is that digit, which is 8 or 6. That's 1, 2, or 3. So that is 6, 7, or 8. Oh, bother. I don't know. 2 is vertical. 2. Okay, where's 2 in box 8? One of those 2 squares. So the 7 in box 8 is, if that's 2, the 7 is here. And if that's 2, the 7 is there, where it cannot go. So that is not 2. So this is going to be good. So that's 2. That's 7. That's 1. That's 8. These are 3 and 6. That's that's 8 now, by a process known as Sudoku. Now that is that one's equivalent. So that's 6. That's 3. That's 3. That's it. I'm actually doing some work here. Oh, I shouldn't have said that. that was foolish. 1, 5, and 7 into those squares. That's a 6. These squares are somethings. 3 is one of the options. 8 and 9. 3, 8, and 9. So we can probably narrow down this one. Although, of course, it could be stealing this one, couldn't it? I've hardly done any of the naughty digits. Which is really discombobulating. What are these squares here? What's that square's got to be more than 4? Because it's already got a real 4. Oh no, but hang on, could it be stealing it? No, because if it's stealing a digit, it's stealing a 5. Can that really be a 5? No. Here's a point. Right, that cannot be a 5. Because if that's a 5, or even if it's a stolen 5, and it's whatever it is and it's stealing this one, let's imagine this has a value of 5. Those 2 digits have to sum to 5. How would that work? Goodness me, sorry about the aeroplane noise. Maverick apologises. 1, 4 wouldn't work, and there's a 2 in one of those, so 2, 3 wouldn't work, so that doesn't work. So that's a 4, 5 pair now, which means that digit is 6, 7, or 8. Okay, well, that makes... Alright, I'm going to claim that's not a 6. Because if that is a 6... Well, actually... first thing I'm going to claim is that is not stealing this digit. So I don't think that can be green. Because if it's stealing that digit, that value is 5, and we can't make those 2 squares add up. So now let's think about whether this is a natural 6. Well, no, because this domino would have to be 1, 5, or 2, 4, and neither is possible by Sudoku. Now, if this is a 7, these 2 digits have to be... They'd have to be 1, 6, because they couldn't be 5, 2, or 3, 4. And if that's 8, they'd have to be 2, 6. So they always involve a 6. And that 6 is always here. And this square is a 1 or a 2. And 6 in this column is now definitely in one of those squares. And that's going to have opposited a 3. This is good. A 3 in one of these squares in order to partner up with a 6 and add up to 9. And therefore that square has become a 2. Which means that 2 is up here. Which means that... I get that one. Probably can somehow. I just can't see how to do it. Oh dear, oh dear. Well, if that's 2, hang on. We can backfire the 2 in here, can't we? So these become a 1, 3 pair, which means these squares have got to be an 8-6 pair to add up to 9 with 1 and 3. So these squares become a 2-7 pair, and I can do that. That becomes a 1. Therefore, that's a 7 by mathematics. And slowly, we are slowly getting to grips with this. Now, look, that 1-3 is unwound, so the 6-8 gets unwound. These are 3 and 8 by Sudoku. These squares are 1, 5 and something, or 1, 5 and 6. So my fingers did the job that my brain couldn't do. Now, what about these squares, 2, 3 and 8? So there ought to be all sorts of jiggery-pokery that we can do up here. Let's tidy this zipper up now. This zipper's 4 odd numbers on it. At the moment, it's got... Well, hang on. That is a normal digit. So that should be a 3. I don't see why that would be wrong, because 4 plus 3 is equal to 7. If that's wrong, I'm losing the will. I won't understand. Now, these two squares, though, these could be borrowing digits, couldn't they? So, the digits that would be being borrowed by these two are those two by rotational symmetry. So, if that's an 8, you see, that could be an 8 naughty, pinching a 2, paired up with a 5. Oh, hang on. This one might not be able to be naughty. Because if that's naughty, it's pinching the value of 6. And I don't think that can work, because then that digit would have to have a value of 1, which it cannot get. So this is a natural digit. Now, well, yeah. Okay, so this is a 5, actually. Because if it was a 4, what's the value of this digit? It's got to be 3, but its rotational counterpart is 2, and that is not 3. So that is 5. But that's really weird, because that doesn't really help us, although it does put 7 there, I'm noticing. It doesn't help us for an awful reason, which is that the value of this is now 2. But that can be achieved either by writing 2 natural into it, or by making it a naughty 8, and pinching that digit. Oh, no. Oh, I thought I was going to get 7 in that box, but I'm not. Okay, what's going on here? This one has 2 odd digits in it, but 2 odd values on it. That's not an odd value, so these have to have odd values. But they could be transplanting odd values from down here. Oh, how ludicrous. Ah, here is a point. 5 is not opposite 5. So that one is a natural digit. That's absolutely useless. Okay, we probably have to look at these funny things over here. So let's check those out. 5, 8 here. And 3, 6 here. And 1, 4, oh, snooker maximum again here. 1, 4, 7. 4, 7 come out. Well, there's 2 ways they could add up to 7. So, oh, actually 7 is opposite that one as well. So that could be all nonsense. Now, what on earth? This has got 2 odd values on it. It's quite hard. I find this hard to scan because I'm looking at these and then I'm looking over here to see what they might be if they got nonsensed. I suppose 5 can't be nonsensed because 5's already been nonsensed. So there is... Okay, so one of these is a real 5. Isn't that true? I think it is true. One of these is a 5 that cannot be exchanged, if you like. So if that's 5, and it's real, therefore, that's 8 and would need to be transplanted. And the digit that would be transplanted Yeah, I don't like that. I don't think that works. Yeah, so what I'm saying is, if that's 5, we know 5's already been nonsensed, so this is a normal 5. But now this by Sudoku is 8, which clearly can't work. Yeah, because we're definitely summing to 5 on this line. So that needs to be transplanted out. And it would be transplanted out for this digit, which could at the moment be a... Oh, in fact, I can see now it can't be a 9. But it could be a 3. But if it did have a value of 3, this would have to have a value of 2 to make 5. And that one is a natural digit, so this doesn't work. So I think what we have to do is say that... Well, what we have to do is delete the... No, Simon. We delete the grey here, because I gave it grey when I made it 5. We make it 8. We make this 5 by Sudoku. That one acquires the grey mantle. This being 8... is the equivalent of that digit, which can't work, can it? We can't switch in a 1 or a 5 for an 8 here, because even if it was 5, that's a real 5 and that's not a 0. So I think that's real. And that's great, because that gives me 8 here, and 3 here, and 3 here, and 6 here. And this line at the moment, if that's a natural 6 rather than switching in that, yeah, it can't switch in that digit. So these are all real. This whole line is real, which is very surprising. That digit is not 6. That digit is not 5. We're going to get chocolate teapotted, aren't we? And this whole panoply of stuff here is... I've only got 3 green digits still after an hour and 10 minutes. Right, so what do we do next? Do I know? I don't know what that is, do I? Oh, it probably isn't. No, well, no, if this was a naughty old digit, say that was naughty, it's acquiring the value of 3. And then this would have to have a value of 1, but couldn't be itself naughty, so that wouldn't work. So that's natural. And now if it's natural, it can't be a... No, that's not true. Because now that could switch itself out and become a 1 down here, although quite how that would work, I don't know. So that means this square is not a 2. This is not resolved. Oh, do I know what that digit is? Surely. Oh no, because that was the one that could switch with this one. Oh, I don't believe it. You can't write 2 here. Because that's going to require that to be double 1 and that to be double 1. That's just nonsense. That can't work. So this is 2. Which means this is 8. Which means that's got to be naughty. Because it can't have a value of 8. It's got to pick up the value of 2. Which means this is 3. This is 2. This is 8. This is 9. This is 3. Ooh. So that has to... Oh, no, hang on. I've done something wrong here. I need this to be naughty, which means I need it to pick up the value of 1 from here to make this zipper work. And I can't make it naughty because I made that naughty. Why did I make that naughty? Yeah, that can't be 8. If that's an 8, it can't be naughty. Oh no, what have I done wrong there? What on earth have I done wrong there? Let me just go... Where did we start that all off? I made that a 2. Yeah, that must be right. You can't put 2 here. Although, I tell you what I didn't think of. I forgot that I could have picked up that digit, but actually that digit is just as bad because it's also a 2. But if I make that... Ah, this is bizarre. This I think does have to be a 2, but I don't. Oh, that could be a 1. This is absolutely ridiculous. Hang on. Right. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. That's absolutely ridiculous. Right. That's a 2. And that's absolutely... that is ludicrous. That is so unbelievably... That's one of the greatest traps you will ever see. I'd have got that wrong 100 times out of 100 in a competition. That's so... It's in a way it's brilliant, to be honest. In a way it's brilliant, but it's also... Oh my goodness. So can you... I mean, hopefully you can see... or let me explain what's going on. I thought completely reasonably, Scojo and friends, that couldn't be a 2. Because how could it be a 2? If it's a 2, I didn't actually see the possibility of it switching out. But let's even include that possibility. If it's a 2, even if it's a switched out digit, its value is 2. On a zipper, you know, this zipper is not short. So the only way this can be a 2, get this, is that both of these must have values of 1. And both of these must have values of 1. And the weird thing is that is actually possible because, I mean, that would have to be a 1. How do you get this to be a value of 1? Well, you're going to have to pinch its naughty digit over there, so that would become a naughty old digit. And then this could be an actual 1 and would have to be because it can't be a naughty digit. And that needs to pinch its symmetrical counterpart, which, oh, look, it just so happens to be a 1. So this all works. And if you don't make this a 1, if you don't make this a 2 and you make this a 2, which is what we just explored, it doesn't work, look. Because you make this an 8, which breaks this zipper unless this is a naughty old digit. But the moment you make this an 8, you make this a 3. And you put 3 here. And these are both natural values. So you need to substitute this value for something down here. But that's going to put 2 naughty green digits in the same row. So it doesn't work. So in fact, what you have to do is put 2 there. Which means this has to be a 1. This has to be a 1. This has to have a value of 1. So it must be green because it can't be 1. This has to have a value of 1. Which means it has to... take this one's value. I don't quite know how this is going to play out now, but we can certainly do a bit of greyifying, can't we? Oh yeah, look. Wow. I get a green digit in the corner down there, so that's picking up a 7. Right, so that if this has a value of 7, which it now has to, that has to be a 4. These are all grey. This one is grey. Still, it's still not resolved. It's still not resolved, I don't think. Okay, so that's 3 or 8. What's this? I really want this to be something useful. These 2 digits are 6 and... Oh, I can actually do that. That's a 6 and that's an 8. So that's a 2. That's... Oh no, it doesn't resolve. Okay, that's a 9. Okay, and what's that digit then? Okay, so that's a 9. That seems to have to be 4. That's 6, that's 7, that's 1, that's 5, that's 6, that's 7. I've got a deadly pattern on 3s and 8s, which presumably will be resolved somehow by a zipper. That's a 1, that's a 5. I've almost done the Sudoku, but I very much don't feel like I've finished this. I mean, if that's an 8, how can that be an 8? This will have to have a value of 6, and it can't get it because that's not the right value. So that is a 3. That's a 3. That's an 8. That's an 8. So I've actually done the puzzle, I think, but I don't feel like I've finished it. Yeah, this has to be green to make this work. And by being green, the 1s and the 7s effectively switch positions in the grid. Now, I haven't got 2s and 3s at all allocated. So, so you can see how it's going to work now, because 1 has been notified. These can't be notified. And those 2 become notified. Not notified, but switchified. And that, but let's check that works. Okay, so the 2 does pick up a 2, and the 3 needs to pick up a 3, and it does. That is so bizarre. That is absolutely... I can totally understand why people have had fun solving this. It is sort of fun. Doing it on camera is sort of terrifying, I will tell you that. It is absolutely terrifying, because I think it would be, well, and it was incredibly easy to make an error. But that is a very, very sweet thing. Whichever one of you, or many of you, noticed that you could put this sort of V pentomino in, and that you could put a 2 in the zipper bulb, that is sublime genius. I mean, it's a weird rule. Weird. But I think I've solved... Oh, I haven't checked. Oh, no! I've got it wrong. What have I done? Is that just that's just a slip of the pen, isn't it? I probably just put the wrong digit in there. That should be a 5. There we go. Yes. Like the puzzle. I do like it. It made me feel silly, but I do like it. Yeah, fab, absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. The combined IQ of all those people, it turned out, was quite a lot higher than mine. Let me know in the comments how you got on. I enjoy the comments, especially when they're kind, and we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.